guys, Chelsea here, Tragic Glamour, and you voted on my Instagram between a couple different video ideas, and you decided that you wanted to see Ancestry versus 23&me. Now, I did the Ancestry report a few years ago, and as I just looked at it, it just changed. Like, they updated it because as soon as they get more DNA, they're able to like distinguish things a little more. So that's interesting. There's a couple ways that it has changed, and I'll talk about that. And then I also got the 23&me recently, and I did the other one because I thought, okay, well, first of all, it has like a health report that you can get with it, which I thought was interesting, and I wanted to see what it said. And I also just kind of wanted to see if they differed, you know? So they do, just saying, and we're gonna talk about how. So I don't even know where to start. Okay, I'll start with Ancestry because that's where I came first, and I think because I went there first, I almost like want to believe them more, you know? I'm looking at it on my iPad, but I'm going to also put a screenshot or something of what I'm looking at in the video so you can see. For the most part, I'm British. Let's just say that. The new estimate, it did originally say that I was 53% British, and that decreased by about 6%, which I thought was interesting because if you're native to Britain, then they say that the average is about 60%. So I was like, oh, I'm almost native. But anyway, so it says England, Wales, Northwestern Europe, so 47%. It's almost half. But I thought originally they included Ireland and Scotland into that, since Ireland, or not Ireland, but Scotland is part of the British thing, I'm pretty sure, because they're trying to succeed right now. Anyway, that now is its own category, and I am 28% Irish and Scottish. So that increased by 23%. So that's more than half of me, for sure. It refined a little bit, and I'm about 8% French and 6% Germanic Europe. Now, what is that like specifically? So just Germany, Czech, Austrian, Swiss, Dutch, Belgium, Luxembourg. Yeah. Interesting. That's all the Germanic Europe. Yeah. Because then there's the 8% French. And then I'm 2% Spanish and 3% Portuguese, which I always thought was interesting because on my dad's side, my family is very Portuguese, and we always grew up with a lot of Portuguese traditions and like food and things. And so I always thought I was a lot more Portuguese, and it turns out it was just a little bit. It's interesting how like your DNA carries from parents and previous generations. There's also quite a bit of Norway, 6% from Norway, which I think includes Swedish, because it did say Swedish before, and now it's saying Norway. So interesting. For my Swedish friends, I know there's like a Norway-Swedish rivalry. So anyway, I just think it's interesting how much it changed. It took out Southern Europe, which it made it like I was really Italian and Greek, and I guess I'm not now, according to this thing, because it originally said that I was. And then it took out some of Eastern European, and some of the less than 1% of Moroccan that it said I was, which I'm sad about that because I really love Moroccan stuff. So anyway, I find it really interesting how much it can change just by getting more DNA in over time. So even if you have gotten it before, maybe go check it again, because it might have updated like mine did, and I think that's really crazy. So now let's see how they differ from Ancestry DNA to 23&me. So 23&me. I am 99% European. Well, that's obvious. This is the part that I find interesting, is that I see that most people who get these done tend to have some kind of origin in a place that seems totally unrealistic, or at least not unrealistic, but a place that is just really, it's like a 0.1%, like one person in your line was fully that, you know, fully Moroccan, fully Egyptian, fully from someplace, that just added that like 0.1%. So that's the part that they took out of my last one in Ancestry. So now I'm not too sure like how much I believe of everything that's less than 1%, but I'm not sure. So the 23&me one, from what I heard from a lot of people, was supposed to be more specific. And in a way it is, and in a way it really isn't. So, okay, on here, now on the other one it said I was, let's go back. I wish I had them side by side, but I don't. I was 47% English, Wales, Northwestern Europe, and 28% Irish and Scottish. Well, on Ancestry, or on 23&me, I keep calling it Ancestry because it's an ancestry report, so it's harder because it's brands and whatever. I am British and Irish about 39.8%. That's a huge difference. Like, that's a really big chunk of difference. But then at the bottom, it says broadly Northwestern European, and that's 16.6%. So I'm thinking that maybe they specified it to 39.8%, but they couldn't specify that 16.6, and that's all part of that too, because that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Now, it gave me 15.2% Iberian Peninsula, which is Portuguese and Spanish, and that is significantly higher than my 5% on Ancestry. And I would like to think I'm more, but I don't know what to believe now. So I know that I'm basically, a lot of the things on here are mostly the same places. So at least I can determine that I'm partly these things. But the variations of percentage is very different. So French and German, 14.8%. How much was it broadly Germanic? 6%, and then France was 8%. So that's kind of around the same. It's not too different. I mean, it's more, but it's not too different. Scandinavian, 5.5%. So that would be about the same. That one's about the same. Because that would be the Norway, Swedish area, I believe. Scandinavian, I think. God, I hope I'm not wrong. If I am wrong, say it in the comments so you can, like, be a smart person more than I am. Broadly Southern European, 3.8%. So I don't know what that consists of, because originally that would have been like Italian and all of that stuff, which my new report on Ancestry says I'm not those things, even though it said I was a lot of those things last time. It said I was 10% those things, and now it says I have nothing. So it's not an exact science, I guess. Broadly European in general, just in general, like the whole Europe, I'm just broadly European, 1.6%, whatever that broadly, just the whole thing. And then, okay, the other thing I've noticed about this report so I watched the Try Guys do this report, and they all did it, and they got their, like, whatever. And almost all of them got Ashkenazi Jewish. I don't know why. That's on mine too. It's 0.2% Ashkenazi Jewish. I'm curious if that's just one of those things that sometimes shows up. Like if it's one of those things that's not an exact, so they just kind of throw it in. I don't know how it works. I don't know how DNA works, how you test it, or why it is that some things show up at first and then eventually you decide, nah, but that one's in there. So 0.2%. And then 0.2% unassigned. I don't know what that is. You know? So the other thing that 23andMe does that's totally different is they add in other random things. And I don't know what they mean or why it's important, but I'm going to share them with you. So it says my maternal haplogroup is H8, and that's common. My Neanderthal ancestry, which I guess makes me connected to a Neanderthal, is more Neanderthal variants than 79% of customers. So I was a Neanderthal. My DNA is ancient, I'm assuming. I don't know. Anyway, they also do a wellness report and a health report. I paid the extra thing for the whole wellness health thing. I wanted to see what it was because, you know, if you're going to throw in some extra stuff, I want to see what this says. Also because I'm a heavier set person and I kind of wanted to see if I was, if I'm supposed to be, or if that's in my DNA, or if that's just like my bad, you know? So the wellness report, find out how your DNA may affect your body's response to diet, exercise, and sleep. Blah, blah, blah. So it says the first one is alcohol flush reaction. I'm unlikely to flush, which means I can properly consume alcohol. Cool. Caffeine consumption, likely to consume more. Well, that was true until I got an ulcer, and now I can't really, so I just have coffee flavored things. But I can't really drink coffee anymore. Deep sleep, less likely to be a deep sleeper. I do sleep pretty decently, but you never know, that might change. Genetic weight, predisposed to weigh about average. Really? Wait. I read something before that said I was, wait, did this change on me again? Because it said when I first got it a couple weeks ago that I was predisposed to weigh heavier than normal. Now it says average. What is average? Like average in America or average in Europe? Because those are two different things. My hair, but I don't know. I'm confused. Lactose intolerance, likely tolerant. That might change too. You never know. Things are crazy these days. Muscle composition, uncommon in elite power athletes. So my muscle composition is not likely to be athletic. Cool. Saturated fat and weight, likely similar weight. I really don't know what that one means. I tried to look into it and I couldn't really understand what exactly that meant. Sleep movement, likely average or less movement. I do have sleep apps on my phone, and I do stay still most of the time, so that's pretty accurate. Now let's go into the healthcare parts, and it says I had no variants detected for, and I also don't know what most of these mean, but you might know what they mean, because I don't. Well, actually, I did read what they meant, and I don't remember. That's the whole thing. BRCA1 and BRCA2, no variants detected. Parkinson's disease, no variants detected. Age-related macular degeneration, no variants detected. Celiac disease, no variants detected. G6PD deficiency, no variants detected. Hereditary thrombophilia, no variants detected. But I am slightly increased risk for hereditary hemochromatosis. I feel like that's the iron, like increased iron or something like that. One of them meant that I'm predisposed to have an increase of iron in my system, which is interesting because my mom does. Or she did last time she got tested. I think she's normal now. Alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, variant detected, not likely a risk. Late onset Alzheimer's disease, slightly increased risk, which also makes sense because my great-grandfather had that. So, but late onset, hopefully late onset, like the last 2 years when you're just about to die. I don't know. So that's all pretty interesting. However, I don't feel like it was as helpful as I was hoping it would be. But I'm glad that a lot of stuff was not detected, because then I don't have those things, apparently. Probably could still get those things, but it won't be like DNA related, I guess. So that's all pretty cool. It's just so interesting to me, like, how they differ. How can I be so much more? How can I be 10% more Portuguese and Spanish according to 23&me than I am on Ancestry? Where do they get all these extra things from? Like, I really would like to know how these companies work and how they're testing it and how they differ in testing. I'm a little blown away that you could tell me that for 10% I was Italian and Greek, and now you're saying, no, we were wrong, you're not that. What? How could you be like sure before and you're not now? Ugh. So, in conclusion, I don't know which is better, because I don't know which one is more accurate. I feel, this is my opinion, not my educated scientific opinion, but my personal opinion based on my gut, which is that Ancestry is probably more accurate. I think that it's the one that people use more, and so they have more DNA to base things off of. That's what I've heard. So I believe in a way that this is more accurate. A lot of what it's telling me is stuff that my family has been like, oh yeah, we're Irish, we're Scottish, there's some Swedish, there's some French, there's some German, there's, so everything that they've said I am is in here. That makes sense. I'm a little mad about the Italian thing. I was 10% Italian. Sorry. I need to let go. I need to let it go. But I just found out about this. So, I will let it go. Yeah, keep the update. That's fine. I don't want you to tell me other things. The other cool thing about Ancestry, which I don't see on 23&me, I'm going to, excuse me, ad. No. Excuse you. I don't want Spotify. I don't know what my DNA sounds like. Stop. I'm just going to have to refresh the page. Being a dick. Okay, the other thing that it has is migrations. So based on the ancestry that people, like my grandparents, for instance, both my grandmas are on here, and have done things with the family trees and stuff like that. It can tell you how, based on the information that it has about your family, how your family migrated to where you are. Whoa, there's like a whole thing down here. What is this? There's like a timeline. 1750. The Great Lisbon Earthquake. 1750. I don't even know how to explain this to you with my words. Okay, well, that's cool. And 1700, other parts of my family migrated to Ohio River Valley, Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa. Interesting. I do know that there are parts of my family that are from those places, but they were pretty far back, at least a few generations, like I never knew them type of thing. My grandma's been very cool on my grandma on my mom's side has done a lot of looking into our ancestry and our tree and all of that stuff. And when she, like a couple years ago, she spent about 10 years, I think, making a memoir. And she made like a thick book, like hardcover book memoir that she gave to everybody in our family. It's really nice. And in that, she made the family tree as far back as I think that she felt relevant. I think that she has seen it go back further, but we weren't like 100% sure that those things were accurate. So I think she just put in what she like knew 100% was accurate. And I'm really fortunate to have a grandma, a person who is so interested in our family, in our heritage, to make that, because I know there's a lot of people out there who don't know anything about theirs, and I think that is so why these things are so great. To have 23&me and Ancestry, by the way, not sponsored by either, to have people be able to just spit in a vial and send it to someone and have them tell you where you're from. That's a huge deal because a lot of people don't know. And I mean, I knew what my family told me, but a lot of them, I mean, I know that there's ancestors that they know of that, I don't know if it's connected to me through blood because it didn't show up in my DNA, but of people who were a part of different cultures, like Native American who married into our family and all this other stuff. I don't know if it's connected to my personal DNA. So I was always told I was a Heinz 57. I was a little bit of everything. But it turns out I'm not. I'm really just a little bit of everything in Europe. So I find that very interesting. And it explains a lot as to why I've always been so inherently attracted to the UK. And I mean, I blame most of that on the Spice Girls and the fact that they always made me want to like wear British things, buy British things. Like, how could I not? Anyway, I say anyway a lot in these videos, whatever. It explains a lot as to why I've always felt really comfortable watching British TV. And I've always felt some kind of connection there. And I'm surprised that I haven't been there yet. I'm 29 and I have not even been to Europe yet. I couldn't afford it. So hopefully sometime in the next couple of years I can make that happen, because I would really love to see it. And I'd love to see how I feel when I go there, because I think that when you do go places where you have some kind of ancestry, it can feel oddly like home. And I think it's good to experience that and see. for yourself. So yeah, so in my personal opinion, I would try Ancestry over 23&me. But again, just my personal opinion. I do think that it's slightly more accurate just because I think it's used more and they have a lot more DNA to pull from to give you a little bit more accurate stuff. So, but we'll see. We'll see how 23&me develops over the years. They might get better. They might surpass it. I don't think it was the worst thing to do both. I mean, they're kind of expensive, but if you get them on Black Friday deals, which is coming up soon, you can usually get them for like 50% off. So if you want to try this, I highly suggest doing that. They do a lot of sales, especially around that time. Try it. I'm also interested to see if my parents got it done, how mine would differ from theirs. Because I know that I have cousins who have done this, and just between sisters, it has been different. And I think that's really fascinating that if you have the same parents, it could still be that different. And I don't really know how that works, but it's true. So anyway, that is my Ancestry versus 23&me report. I hope you found it interesting or helpful in some aspect. And I'll have more videos for you guys this week. I have a bunch of ideas and I have a couple collabs coming up and I'm excited about them. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and you know, subscribe and like and all those things, and check me out on Instagram @TragicGlamour, and yeah, bye. Thank you so much.